I have to land on a moving train to drop off 5 guys.
Hardest stunt that you've ever done?
I would say, first of all, the Fast and Furious movie, low and dirty car chase, that's always pretty exposed, the Fast and Furious. I've done all of them since number 4, and we're prepping number 11. And so on the last Extraction 2 movie that was released on Netflix, like 2 months ago, I have to land on a moving train to drop off 5 guys. And the complication of that sequence, originally when I told the director we can do that, we were supposed to shoot it in Australia because Chris Hemsworth, our lead actor living there, he wanted to do it there, but it was during COVID. And when we were supposed to do it there was a rail track, open, no trees, nothing. So I had plenty of room to do the approach, land on a moving train and bail. But then COVID happened, and then they asked us to do it in Europe. And we did it in Czech Republic, and the problem there were trees. So long story short, we only had 28 seconds free of trees to do the gag. It's complex to land a helicopter with one skid on the train and 5 guys going out, because it's about 1,000 pounds weight transfer. So if you put one skid, the helicopter is already, not really balanced, but when the guys get out, you have basically in 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 1,000 pounds off. So the helicopter can tip over. You have to control the balance. And then at the same time, you're 60 miles an hour on a moving train, and you have only 28 seconds. So that was a difficult, sequence. So if you watch the movie, then you're going to see what I'm talking about. It's very short on the movie, but you're going to see exactly what we're doing.
This one.
Man. Yeah. So a lot of people were wondering how we did this, because it's not easy to be in the turbulence of the other one. But there's a technique here you can see. So you see the propellers and all that wind come towards me. But if you go back to the beginning of the video, my blades that are above us are above the propeller of the plane. That's how you stay off turbulence. The helicopter gets some, but that doesn't matter. As long as the blades don't get the turbulence, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, it's the thing that I would think of in my mind. It's like somebody pushing my upper body while I'm running. Well, as long as you don't hit my legs, I'm fine.
Exactly. So kind of the same here. So we only like 5 feet from the plane, because it's shot with an iPhone, by the way, my cell phone. So it's pretty wide.
You're only like 5 feet behind the plane with shooting that with an iPhone?
Yeah, I'm not sure. A friend of mine is shooting behind it.
So how does I would not have thought that a helicopter could take off like that.
So in fact, helicopters are like a pendulum. Okay, there's one rotor system, so it's a pendulum. It's a big difference between helicopter and drones. Drones are multi-rotors, so they all go in opposition to each other. This is why it's hard for them to turn, because they're all going in opposition with each other. Us, we have one axe, so it's very easy it's a pendulum effect. Okay, so here, it's the same principle. So it's taking off is like a pendulum. So as long as the forces pull you in one direction, you can be almost any direction. So here, the only way to be really straight down is to have to going super fast in one direction. The helicopter will just follow the rotor system.
For this, what's kind of happening? Walk me through this a little bit.
So this is the movie Gran Turismo that has been released in theater last night. Basically, in the story, you have those young pilots, driver, that are racing, and in the helicopter there's like an engineer and an instructor that is giving guidance to those guys. So they wanted me to be super close to the cars and going with them. So here I have to be very careful. So you see the blades are pretty close to the cars in the turn. So I have to be very careful for the blades to not, of course, touch one of the car. And you have to match your speed. And also there's a lot of obstacle. There's the seats. There is, you can see, but there's bridges, overpass. So it was tricky to do. You need to have the same speed on the car. And you have to understand that helicopter is 2.5 tons. So you have to manage the weight and the momentum. And I'm sitting on the front left from what you can see here. So I'm on the opposite side of the car. We make it a bit more difficult because the car on the left side of the helicopter, and I'm sitting on the right. So it's not always easy. So I need to keep an angle so I can have a visual on the car. And, it takes a little bit to do that safely, of course, but that's what's happening here.
I would think that it's really hard to match that speed.
Yeah, because
Like,
you
I
don't
would
have a
think
lot of
that,
time. Because what you can't see to the right, there's overpasses, and you have to dive down to get to the level of the car. So you can't really match the speed and then get the turn. You have to kind of be, because also the cars change speed all the time. So in
yeah.
fact, most of the time I'm asking the stunt drivers when they drive those cars, be consistent with your speed. Because if they go super fast and they hit the brake and then make the turn, it's impossible for me to manage that speed because I'm 2.5 tons. If I slow down, I have to flare. And then when I flare, I'm losing sight of what is in front of me.
So on an average thing, right? Like, and I know this, obviously there's like 50,000 different factors, but it's going to cost a movie production, whatever, like how much to just do this. And
I mean, it depends. If we shoot downtown LA, like when I did the movie San Andreas, if you remember that, the earthquake.
yeah.
Brad Payton was the director, and we blocked 11 blocks on downtown LA for half a day. And if there is like a coffee shop, let's say, then we'll go to the coffee shop and we'll say, how much you make Sunday from 8 a.m. to noon? The guy says 6,000. Here, 6,000, close the door. Apartment buildings, if those guys too close, we have to empty the building. If the people wants to stay, they can, but they have to approve it. So we go one by one to each apartment and say, we're suggesting you go to a hotel. We're paying for your hotel room. And it was about $1 million to do that.